Should you book a cruise for 2021? Or if you are booked, should you consider moving your cruise over to 2022? We're going to go over that question, plus other frequently asked questions in this video. Given the recent news, the delays for cruises, the travel restrictions, a lot of people are asking about the viability of cruises in 2021. And what should you do if you are booked in 2021? Should you decide to move that cruise over? Should you wait for the cruise line to cancel? We're going to talk about all of those scenarios, and there's really a lot that goes into it. So there is not a one size fits all answer, but I will go through quite a lot in this video. Now, if you're new here, my name is Alana from the website lifewellcruised.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, before I get started, I wanted to mention that if you like the video, if you find it helpful, informative in any way, please give it a thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel, and I very much appreciate it. So let's get started. Firstly, I'm going to let you know about my own scenario. I do not have a cruise booked in 2021. Why? Well, because I think that 2021 for cruises is volatile. So I do think, hopefully, that cruises will restart. I am still optimistic about that, despite the fact that I think short-term things are definitely not looking good for cruises to restart in May. That's my opinion. We'll go through more in this video. But I do think that there is some volatility to 2021. We just can't deny that. We don't know when cruises that are 7 days or even 6 days will restart. So I think for that reason alone, it's hard to know which itineraries are actually viable. At the same time, we don't know what ports they're going to start with. We don't know what cruise ships the cruise lines are going to start with. And once cruises actually do get started, I think we will have a bit of a better idea of how quickly they can ramp up from short cruises like 3 and 4 day sailings to longer cruises. So I think that's definitely the case. And I personally am waiting until they restart to be able to book something for 2021. But I definitely have something booked for 22. I'll probably look at more things as well. But those are, for me, the reasons that I'm not booked in 2021. At the same time, there are travel restrictions that are just making it a little bit more difficult to be able to travel in 2021. But again, like I mentioned, this is not a one size fits all answer. There are definitely cases where the travel restrictions may not even affect you, or may affect you much less than they may myself or somebody else. And depending on the itinerary, that makes a difference as well. So all of this just makes 2022 a better bet, especially for those bucket list cruises, or those cruises that, well, will take some amount of international travel. So if you're looking at a Mediterranean cruise and you're coming from North America, for instance, I think you should probably hold that off until 2022. Now, if you are booked for something, or you'd like to book for something that's in fall, that's definitely a better possibility than June or July, but we don't have a crystal ball. If you want to make sure that you can go, or at least hedge your bets, I probably would move that over to 2022 because of the travel restrictions in particular. And I do believe that at least through the summer, we probably will have at least some of this still going on. If you're planning on an Alaskan cruise, I think the same thing. I think we're dealing with travel restrictions coming into Canada. And while they may be lifted by summer, it's just hard to say. And if you want a sure bet, Alaska really is a bucket list destination, then I do think that probably waiting for 2022 might just be better for you, or holding off a little bit and maybe then booking if you see that cruises have resumed booking at that point. Now, what if you do still want to book something for 2021? There are definitely good reasons to still book for 2021. One reason might be that you want to be one of the first people to be back on cruise ships. I definitely miss cruising. I can 100% understand that. So if you do want to do that, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Or do you want to go to a bucket list destination and you say, if I can get there this summer, if I can get there this year, I definitely want to go and I will take my chances, then you should book for 2021. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do have a few tips for you. So here are some tips for 2021 cruise bookings. So firstly, if you want to be on one of those early cruises that are sailing, well, you are better off to book something that is leaving out of Florida. Ideally, probably Miami or Port Canaveral, although Fort Lauderdale does seem to be getting ready as well. But those are likely the ports that will be used at first by the cruise lines. As well, book something that is close to home. So when I say Florida, I mean that for North American cruises, of course. But if you're somewhere else, book something where you don't have to take an international flight. And of course, this goes for people that are in the United States as well. If you're like me and you're in Canada, well, we have to wait for those travel restrictions to be lifted before we can go on a cruise. So definitely you can still book a cruise, but do make sure that you put a few things in place to make sure that it is as flexible for you as possible. And this is for everybody. Make sure to book at this point refundable deposits. The reason I say that is because you want to have the flexibility rather than the cruise line. So if you decide to cancel, you don't have to wait for the cruise line to cancel for you not to be penalized with those non-refundable deposits. As well, either do not book your air just yet. There are travel restrictions. You don't know if you're going to have to fly in early, if you're going to have to test early. You just don't know what it's going to look like. So don't book air or have the cruise line do it for you. Yes, you can book air through the cruise line. Do check on the terms and conditions, but in some cases, like for instance with Princess Easy Air, you can actually add that to your booking and not even have to pay for it until the final payment. So that's obviously something very good. Another reason to book is perhaps you have a future cruise credit and really there's no harm done. You could move your future cruise credit or a deposit that you had already over to another booking, and if the cruise is canceled, well, then you can move it again. We've already been doing this, so why not do it more? There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. So what about some ports when we look at the United States? What about ports like New York or Cape Liberty in New Jersey or Baltimore? Well, what is happening with those cruise ports? Unfortunately, we do not know yet. I wish I had a better answer. I know this comes up a lot in comments or in questions on Facebook. And I think unfortunately cruise lines, they haven't started yet and they just don't have the answers for us. So for now, at least those early cruises, I would say up until probably about the summer, we are probably better off booking from Florida and then later on booking out those other cruise ports. But I wish I had a better answer, but I do think that the reality is until the cruises have restarted, we are not looking at those other cruise ports. Now let's talk about what happens if your cruise is canceled. Should you take a refund or should you take a future cruise credit? Now we've been talking about this now for, oh my gosh, it's been 10 months. I can't even believe it. But we have. And the decision that you made at the time might be different than the decision that you would make now. But there is not a one size fits all answer. Now, in my case, I did actually take a refund. And the reason that I took a refund was I had paid in full. So it was a sizable amount of money I had paid as well for my air. And I did want to have the flexibility to be able to use that on any cruise with any cruise line because I do sail on different cruise lines. However, if you sail on one cruise line and you are loyal to that one cruise line, taking that future cruise credit will actually give you more value. And perhaps that is a better situation for you. Now, we do also have to watch those expiration dates. However, we have seen that cruise lines have extended those expiration dates. So we do expect that to happen as well. Now, if you have more than one future cruise credit, you do have to check the policy of the cruise line to see if you can combine them. If you can't combine them, then I would not take more future cruise credits. But we have seen that Royal Caribbean has changed its mind and has decided to allow you to combine your future cruise credits. So that is something good, and that might happen with some of the other cruise lines as well. It is hard to tell, so you definitely have to check for yourself with your travel agent or with the cruise line. So let's look at one more option, and that is if you want to lift your cruise and bring it to next year. Now, in the case of Royal Caribbean and Celebrity, they no longer have the option that you can actually literally lift and shift your cruise over to next year unless they cancel the cruise on you. So if they cancel, you still are able to use the lift and shift. But if not, you would actually have to just look into next year and see what the prices are. And that is the same for most of the other cruise lines. Now, will they have a promotion in the future that allows you to do so? That's definitely possible. But right now you have to look at the present promotions and see what benefits you. Now, in the next few weeks, we do expect, from what cruise lines have said, that there should be sort of a wave season with some promotions. Now, typically wave season is between January and March, but this year everything has been obviously completely off, and cruise lines have said that their wave season will be a little bit later. So there may be some good promotions that we can all take advantage of. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Now, please let me know, are you considering moving your cruise in in 2021 to 2022. Are you holding firm on it, or are you considering adding a booking to 2021? I'd like to know what you think. Again, there's no right or wrong answer, so let me know what we should all do. Please give me your opinions in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it so much. And of course, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now. Happy future cruising.